the world has become small due to globalization, which has removed boundaries to trade and communicate between people in different countries. So, what is globalization? Here is a simple globalization definition. Globalization means the speed up of movements and exchanges of human beings, goods and services, capital, technologies, or cultural practices all over the planet. One of the effects of globalization is that it promotes and increases interactions between different regions and populations around the globe. An official definition of globalization by the World Health Organization, or WHO. According to WHO, globalization can be defined as the increased interconnectedness and interdependence of peoples and countries. It is generally understood to include two interrelated elements: the opening of international borders to increasingly fast flows of goods, services, finance, people, and ideas, and the changes in institutions and policies at national and international levels that facilitate or promote such flows. What is globalization in geography? In geography, globalization is defined as the set of processes through economic, social, cultural, technological, and institutional that contribute to the relationship between societies and individuals around the world. It is a progressive process by which exchanges and flows between different parts of the world are intensified.
Next is the history of globalization. For some people, this global phenomenon is inherent to human nature. Because of this, some say globalization began about 60,000 years ago. At the beginning of human history, throughout time, human societies exchanging trade has been growing. Since the old times, different civilizations have developed commercial trade routes and experienced cultural exchanges. And as well, the migratory phenomenon has also been contributing to these population exchanges. Especially nowadays, since traveling became quicker, more comfortable, and more affordable. This phenomenon has continued throughout history, notability through military conquest and exploration expedition. But it wasn't until the technological advances in transportation and communication that globalization speeded up. It was particularly after the second half of the 20th century that world trades accelerated in such dimension and speed that the term globalization started to be commonly used. Because of the trade developments and financial exchanges, we often think of globalization as an economic and financial phenomenon. Nonetheless, it is just flowing of goods, services, and capital, often referred to as the globalization concept map. Some examples of globalizations are:
What is globalization in economy? According to the Committee for Development Policy, a subsidiary body of United Nations, from an economic point of view, globalization can be defined as the increasing interdependence of world economies as a result of the growing scale of cross-border trade of commodities and services, the flow of international capital, and the wide rapid spread of technologies. It reflects the continuing expansion and mutual integration of market frontiers, and the rapid growing significance of information in all types of productive activities and marketization are the two major driving forces for economic globalization.
Financial globalization means integration of financial market of all countries of the world into one. It can also be linked with the rise of global financial system with international financial exchanges and monetary exchanges. This is only possible provided uniformity can be brought in the terms and conditions across the globe for missing international laws. Example, the stock market is financially connected to global world since when one stock market has a decline and it affects to the other market negatively as well as the economy as a whole.
Cultural globalization refers to the interpenetration of cultures which, as a consequence, means nations adopt principles, beliefs, and customs of other nations, losing their unique culture to a unique, globalized supraculture, and refers to the sharing of ideas, meanings, habits, and values around the world in such a way as to extend and intensify social relations. Political globalization is the development and growing influence of international organizations such as the UN or WHO means governmental action takes place at an international level. There are other bodies operating at global level such as NGOs like Doctors Without Borders or Oxfam.
Next is the sociological globalization. Information moves almost in real time, together with the interconnection and interdependence of events and their consequences. People move all the time too, mixing and integrating different societies. Next is the technological globalization, the phenomenon by which millions of people are interconnected, thanks to the power of digital world via platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Skype, or YouTube.
Geographic globalization is the new organization and hierarchy of different regions of the world that is constantly changing. Moreover, with transportation and playing made so easy and affordable apart from a few countries with demanding visas, it is possible to travel the world without barely any restriction.
Next is the ecological globalization. Accounts for the idea of considering planet Earth as a single global entity, a common good all societies should protect since the weather affects everyone, and we are all protected by the same atmosphere. To this regard, it is often said that the poorest country have been polluting the least, will suffer the most climate change.
Globalization has benefits that cover many different areas. It reciprocally develops economies all over the world and increases the cultural exchange and changing the paradigm of work. It is also allowed the exchange between companies. Globalization brings government together so that they can tackle common goals together. For example, due to globalization, world leaders have seen the impact of pollution and have resolved to tackle the climate change together. It is unlikely country trading a lot of products and service with another will attack it or want to go to war with it. Many people are nowadays together. Geographic distance is no longer a barrier for many service to happen.
There are a number of negative impacts on globalization has had on cultural diversity, including the influence multinational corporations have on promoting a consumer culture, exploitation of workers and markets, and influencing social values. This increased availability of commercial media and product can drown out local cultural influences, loss of individualism, and group identity occur when globalization encourages a Western idea of individualism. This promotes a homogeneous set of values and beliefs. Many critics have been pointed out that globalization has negative effects on the environment. Thus, the massive development of transport that has been the basis of globalization is also responsible for the serious environmental problems such as greenhouse emission, global warming, and air pollution.